Today on the show, we return once again with more Tales of the Empire.
Hello there, and welcome to the Lost Cantina, the podcast that explores the stories, characters, and themes behind our favorite galaxy far, far away. And again, I'm Kevin.
And again, I'm Connor. Wait, no, that's... Hold on.
That's the other guy with us.
I know me being here is throwing you off, but you're Jaden.
You've thrown off my groove, Jaden. Wait, no, I'm Jaden.
It's such a pleasure to be on the show with you fellas. Usually I'm in the background, but yeah, I am thrilled to be here to continue our discussion of Tales of the Empire.
We're so happy to let you out of your cage, and if you do a good enough job, you get to stay out and maybe do more episodes with us. So if you guys like Connor, please download it.
I've managed to escape from the producer's room and break into the recording room. I picked a really good day to do it. A big special occasion here for us to be able to view Tales of the Empire early and get to talk about it. So this is actually a part 2 of our discussion of Tales of the Empire. So if you haven't yet listened to episode 1 of Tales of the Empire coverage by us, go do that now. And obviously, if you haven't watched Tales of the Empire yet, again, pause and go watch because we will get into heavy spoilers here like we did last time. Absolutely.
This is the one where I would say, again, with the spoiler stuff, this is coming out probably within a couple days of the show coming out. So go watch it.
Yeah. We were lucky to see it ahead of time, and we loved it. We have lots of thoughts. I think last time we mentioned that typically on the Lost Cantina, I can't speak for you guys here, but I know that typically episode recaps are pretty in depth. The show will go through very specific moment by moment, like really analyze the scenes. We'll be glossing over the actual content here a little bit. We'll recap it, but today, like last time, we're just going to focus really heavily on our takeaways and thoughts and what we liked about each of these little mostly self-contained vignettes about a certain character who I'm excited to talk about.
We would love to hear, by the way, guys, if you like this new format versus what we've done in the past with our past recaps. And in fact, please feel free to email us at Kevin.
The Lost Cantina Pod at gmail.com.
Look at that segue, gentlemen. Killing it.
that handoff was smooth. That was like a Jordan Pippen handoff.
Well, if you also want to talk to us too, I mean, we do exist on social media, mostly on TikTok and on Instagram at The Lost Cantina. Wow, who would have thought? But we exist there too. And again, like we said in the last episode, X exists. There's that. But we are not very active on it.
It's still technically a website and an app, I guess, technically.
It will be Twitter until the day I die.
Yeah, dead naming is only okay when you're saying Twitter instead of
dead
X.
name is only okay when you're pissing off a billionaire.
That's the only time dead naming is fine, is when you say Twitter instead of X. That's our official stance here. But, yeah. If you haven't yet, if you're joining us for episode 2 of our Tales of the Empire coverage, last time we discussed, again, spoiler warning, we discussed the origin story and the life path of a very intriguing character, Morgan Elsbeth. And this time, these next 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire also are, form basically a mini trilogy of another character and her story. So can't wait to get into it. But first, we're going to take a quick break, go hear from our sponsors, insert ad here. But don't worry, we'll be right back in just a minute, so stick around. And we're back and ready to jump into episode 4 of Tales of the Empire, Devoted. And I'm gonna own up to something real quick here, guys. I personally haven't watched all of, or even most of, the Clone Wars show. I've watched bits and pieces of it, like piecemeal episodes of it. So this character we're about to be introduced, and we're gonna be following her for the next 3 tales. I know she featured heavily in the Clone Wars series.
Your entire opinion has just been invalidated by all of the Star Wars fanboys.
Listen, I have my perspective on these on Tales of the Empire and these next 3 episodes. But yeah, I know that there's background to this character
I will fill you
that I might be missing out.
And by vis-a-vis the audience as well. So Barriss Offee was the Jedi Padawan of Luminara Unduli.
That's right.
And she went on many adventures with Ahsoka and Anakin, and eventually she framed Ahsoka for murder and
the bombing of the Jedi
Temple, and then was exposed. Much unlike Kevin with his Elgato screen, god damn it, error. So do we have to pause for that fixes? Or
no? Keep talking. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
She was exposed as the traitor. Anakin almost beat the living shit out of her. It was one of the most one-sided lightsaber fights I've ever seen. It was so cool. And she was arrested and sent to prison, which is very convenient for her. Why, Connor?
Well, being in prison had the upside, the unexpected benefit of sparing her from Order 66.
In fact, she
What? You mean she's not a Jedi anymore?
No, and that was the funniest line that those clone troopers have ever delivered.
Yeah.
It was just...
Yeah, Barriss wakes up in a prison cell, sees the Jedi Temple burning in the distance, and Order 66 is being carried out. And yeah, her clone trooper guards just like kind of cackle at her and say, "Just be glad you're not a Jedi anymore." It was so funny. It was hardcore.
Which is
the programming really worked on them.
Which is why it's funny because
really.
like meanwhile, Ahsoka is like running for her life on the Jedi cruiser, not being a Jedi, and they're like, "Fucking get this one, kill her."
Yeah, that's weird. It's like, well, I guess she's behind bars, so she's not a threat anymore.
Honestly,
like,
if I had to guess, I think it was Palpatine. Like, was just like, "Hey, I'm just gonna put an extra little thing in here, like Order 66." Like he said it to Rex to like, because like, "Hey, you are associated with Anakin.
Right.
I need you dead so that I can have control of my special baby boy."
Kill all the Jedi plus Ahsoka.
Yeah, honest to God, that's probably what it was.
And leave this one alone because I'm gonna,
Well, that's the thing. I bet you not a single person said Order 66 to the guards guarding Barriss, and if they had, she would have been killed.
Interesting.
Because when Order 66 is issued on the ship, they immediately try to kill Darth Maul.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
So anyone with a lightsaber, it's on site.
Yeah.
Basically.
Order 66 is said on site. Get him.
Interesting. Well, we can already tell, and that background is important to know because we can already tell that Barriss, being in prison with her background, with what she's been through with the Jedi Order, she's kind of disillusioned already, obviously. And so she's really primed to accept the offer of a pardon that is being given to her right now when another Jedi shows up, a fellow Jedi. Her name is Lynn, shows up. Well, former
the
Jedi
darkness eyes, mind you.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So Lynn shows up and basically, tells Barriss like, "Hey, the Jedi are now state enemies, and you can be pardoned." And
but by the way, I laughed so hard when she said the name because I was expecting, like some really fancy name that the Star Wars people always have, and it's just like Lynn from accounting is a Sith Lord.
Lynn, the soccer mom.
Fucking Lynn.
But so what I thought was cool about this is that Lynn, it's a very clever mention of, and clever wording as well. The framing of, how Order 66 went down. Lynn kind of says, "Oh, after the assassination attempt on Emperor Palpatine, it's, this is your one chance to have another shot at life, basically." And so like that, the wording there really plays on Barriss's preconceived, notions and perspective. Like, again, she's disillusioned with the Jedi, ready to believe these things about the Jedi Order and ready to accept the pardon. And lastly, her guards readying their blasters makes it obvious. It's a not so subtle clue that this isn't an optional offer, but I'm just saying there's multiple factors at work here. Like she's ready to
Here's the thing. Without that threat, she was probably going to say yes without the threat.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like she probably didn't need the threat to say yes, but the threat was also there.
It was funny when she was like, "Will you take this opportunity?" And it's like, at gunpoint? Like, yes, I will, actually. I thought it was great, too, because, like, you get all these really cool transitions. You get the Star Wars transitions in, like, all of these episodes, and they're, like, kind of different. Some of them are, like, 4-way transitions, not just one pan. So, like, the film stuff for this was great. But, yeah, having the guns there kind of forces her hand, if you will.
It's not very subtle. Yeah. But no, so that does lead to I think we all see where this is going. Barriss is taken to the Fortress Inquisitorius. You know, where else would a former Jedi go after the Purge?
Under construction, we might add.
I saw, I was gonna say, like, I thought it was a really cool shot of it being built. Basically,
it's not the Fortress Inquisitorius; it's the Fortress They haven't finished Notorious yet. They haven't.
You got me there. I was like, "Are you going to finish the word?" Oh, that's that's funny.
We do see some younglings brought in. We get two other younglings,
other former Padawans. Yeah,
they're a little nervous here. We see a lot of these stormtroopers and stuff, and she's kind of looking around like, "Ugh. Okay, this is different. We're wearing black now. Okay, all right. We're walking super slowly. We're not being cheerful. Okay, the vibe's a little different here.
This is not a fun place."
The Grand Inquisitor shows up, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going? The Jedi are gone, but guess what? You know, I have an elite fighting force." He pretty much does the whole Vin Diesel family thing on them and tries to indoctrinate them, if you will. And some of them are a little bit nervous about it. They're kind of like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to do this." Because the other thing too is, not only are they're said, "Hey, we have this opportunity for you." They don't really go into too many details, but we got this great opportunity for you. You're gonna love it. But first, we're gonna throw you back in a jail cell.
So something interesting too that before we get too far away from what I want to talk about is that all the Padawans know each other. They all know each other immediately, but they don't know the Grand Inquisitor. So I would love to see if we could get a backstory on where he came from.
That's a good question. Yeah, like how did we know he's force sensitive? We know he's lightsaber trained. Like we know he's like capable. Like, he didn't just pop out of nowhere. Yeah. It's almost like he almost had to have been a Jedi at some point. Well, not necessarily had to have, but like that definitely.
And that's the question
implied.
of did Palpatine obviously recruited him a while ago. So it's the question is was he recruited specifically to be the Inquisitor? Like was this part of Palpatine's like long-term plan of like, "Oh, I'm definitely going to have this."
Yeah, did he basically pull a second Dooku by like getting a disillusioned, experienced Jedi like the Inquisitor to
remember the theory of him possibly being a temple guard.
Oh yeah,
there is that theory going around that because with the vision that they have in the temple and Rebels, like he could have possibly been a temple guard. That
Wait, would you explain why nobody knows what he looks like?
Yeah, because he has a mask on the whole time.
Yeah,
right. So, but obviously the stakes are high right off the bat because one of the Padawans who is in this new class of Inquisitor trainees is right off the bat like, this is stupid, I'm out of here. And he walks out of the prison cell and, of course, killed off screen, never seen again. So
the fucking hubris to be like, "No, I can temporarily leave."
Yeah, they didn't lock the door. I can just walk out of here.
Everyone else that I know is fucking dead, but I can leave.
Right.
We get a really cool shot of the Grand Inquisitor showing them that their friend had an unfortunate accident. And we get this super cool fucking shot of a kyber crystal thrown on the ground covered in blood.
I don't think it was a kyber crystal.
It was some kind of crystal embedded.
He had a jewel in his
chin. I thought it was a kyber crystal, but we get this really cool like jewel covered in blood. And just to see that much blood, because normally, we don't see a lot of blood in Star Wars. Not like
Star Wars isn't a very bloody place.
Yeah.
Everything's cauterized.
Most of the things are cauterized when they get stabbed anyway. But it's just to see that is like, oh, we're gonna get a little bit more adult, right? As Jaden says, this is a kids show
for kids.
It's getting grim for sure. And it only gets more grim because, we then cut to Barriss in her first official Inquisitor training session where the Grand Inquisitor is, sparring with her basically, and, kind of giving her the direction along the lines of stop fighting like a Jedi.
Yep.
Just try to kill me. You're trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Act like it, basically. And,
Mercy only breeds defeat.
That's right. And what I found interesting is that Barriss isn't necessarily being deconstructed here. The Grand Inquisitor is really only feeding into what's already there. This kind of like disillusionment, this disappointment, this dispossession that she feels. It's just kind of pushing her further down that road, which leads me to wonder about the other Jedi who have been brought to the Inquisitorius, and they had to be tortured until they were willing to turn to the dark side and become Inquisitors, because not every Jedi becomes an Inquisitor in the same way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think in Barriss's case, there are others. There are some who they just need a gentle push in that direction, whereas others need to be broken entirely. I think about the ninth sister from Jedi Fallen Order, who clearly has scars of being mentally deconstructed to become an Inquisitor. And with Barriss, it's more like, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Well, honestly, I think like this is the first group of the first real batch of new like raw recruits for the Inquisitors, and I think that it's because we do see other ones later, but like I think this is more of like, honestly, I think they were all kind of like, we assume Barriss is just straight up gonna join us because of the shit she pulled at the Jedi Temple already.
Yeah,
and it was like we really don't need to push her like we need to push the other recruits.
Right. It's a good point.
One thing that I really liked about the fight itself was he's not holding back. And we got this new thing now where people are fighting with lightsabers, but then one person's not, and they're just like dodging and doing like Ezra started a trend or some shit. I don't know. But basically he's dodging her, but he hits her real hard and she starts bleeding, right? Like we're seeing more blood,
For kids.
Yeah.
But then she gets pissed and she uses a force push on him, and he like starts bleeding himself, and he's like, "Oh shit." But he looks down at his own blood, and then he just like stares at it, a little smirk, and then we see his eyes just slowly move up and look at her, and I was like, "Oh fuck, that's cool." And then she looks back at him, and she's all covered in blood, and she's just like angry, and I'm like, "Yes, he's done it." And I was like, "Oh no, I shouldn't be rooting for this guy."
That was impactful. That was a cool moment. And what I thought was even cooler, we move next to basically the final test. We get to Barriss's.
We get a Joker baby scene.
That's right. Yeah, we get to the oldest gag in the book. We only have room for one of you line. Just like Joker did in The Dark Knight. Like, see who lives. And so Barriss is faced with the other remaining Padawan who showed up with her. His name is Dante, I believe. And it's, they're told the parameters. One of you dies or both of you dies, basically. And a single lightsaber is tossed into the ring with them. And a slowly shrinking ray shield of some kind, a circular shield or field is closing in on them. So, obviously high stakes immediately. And Dante's on board right off the bat. He's like, "All right, fine, fuck it, bet, let's go. Like, I guess this is what we're doing."
One of us is gonna
He's like,
die.
either one of us is gonna die or both of us are gonna die. So fuck it.
Yeah. Barriss asks him, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Embracing the future."
Yeah,
like,
that was a great.
This
line.
is where I'm at. This is what we're doing. So and you can see that Barriss struggles with this initially. She doesn't want to kill a friend, but he kind of takes the choice away from her. She's on the back foot, and she wins the fight. It's close. Like, she barely wins, but she does take the fight by basically force choking her first victim to death.
Yep.
That's her. She gets a little Vader. She gets that Vader dog in her and chokes him and wins the fight. So I thought this scene was really cool. Again, just like with the first few episodes about Morgan, I thought the combat choreography was amazing here. It was really fun fight to watch. My takeaway of this, kind of devastating moment for Barriss, where she, gets a little bit darker, a little bit further down the dark side path. What I thought would be interesting is what if this was the case where it'd be even more devastating, even more darkening for Barriss if Dante didn't put up a fight at all and kind of forced her to kill him in cold blood.
Well, that's the thing, is that you could almost say Barriss is blameless in this fight because she's not the one who starts it. she finishes
Right.
it and finishes it in a very dark way, but at the same time, like,
So
she just did what
yeah.
she had to do to survive. It wasn't I want to kill him.
So on one hand, it's like it would have been even more grim and more downer if she had to take his life cold blood, no choice, or no self defense involved. But in this case, what actually does happen is, yes, she does have to basically, the choice is taken away from her. She has to kill him or die. And I think what that does is leaves a little bit of room. It's almost like leaves a little bit of space there for goodness to grow again, which we'll see. We'll return to later, not to get too ahead of ourselves,
But the next scene, she survives, right? So the next scene is we get a little bit of a little tease, right? We get a little bit of fan service, not that kind of fan service, but a little bit of fan service. We see a couple of Inquisitors already there. Because she's in her kind of final thing where she's like accepting her inquisitory, right? Like she's now gone through this terrible fight, but
she's a sister now.
Yeah. And they're honoring her, if you will. And we see the Inquisitor, bird-like Inquisitor that was one of the coolest Inquisitors ever in Tales of the Jedi, who fights Ahsoka. We see him, and he is just so fucking cool. He walks in. They all walk into that room, the first room that she walks into, and he walks in, and then we see, what's his name? Marek? What?
Hey, the guy that ruined my life by not being what I wanted him to be.
Well, here's the thing. We see him, and that just means he's old as shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, at the time of Ahsoka, like, he probably was dead from old age. I don't know. But then all of a sudden, we hear the Grand Inquisitor say, "Oh, and welcome your new master."
Oh,
and
God. Yes.
in comes the goat himself.
The goat.
Jabba the Hutt. Oh, we're sorry. No. Darth Vader.
We'll never get old. The joke will never get old.
Seriously, though, no. The coolest character in the world walks in, Jar Jar Binks.
The true Sith Lord.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, so V to the A to the DER himself, Darth Vader, the fucking G, the top G. This whole ending scene of this episode like took my breath away because you could feel the air getting sucked out of the room when Vader walks in.
Yeah.
And it's just an animated version of it's just he doesn't even say anything, just walks in and sits down on the throne. Yep. And it's just there's such an impact to that moment. It felt so great.
Well, now think about this though. Anakin Skywalker fucking hated her for what she did.
I was just about to say he had to be
that's true.
He's like, how the hell did she get in here?
He's probably like using
Holding
that anger, but you kind of can see he's like eyeing them all, but then he like looks at her, and I got this feeling like he was just fucking staring through that mask into her soul, like he was daggers her.
Well, here's the big thing though. He probably suggested them go get her.
I mean, sure, but he still probably fucking hates her because at this point, remember, Anakin's not really gone, right? Like, he's not truly Darth Vader yet, if that makes sense. Like, remember Obi-Wan, remember those scenes and all that? Like, he still was kind of struggling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Overall, though, I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I had a really fun time seeing Inquisitor stuff and getting more information on them, like some of the tests and stuff. Like, I love the Inquisitor stuff a lot.
I did too.
Yeah.
Like it was great seeing the origins of an organization that we got to see in action now in several different mediums.
Too much eating, as I would say.
We're stuffed. We can't have another bite, unfortunately. But no, there's more to eat because we got two more tales of the Empire that feature Barriss as well, including the next one, episode 5, Realization. This one, I thought episode 4 was really cool. 5 kind of carries forward into what I assume to be Barriss's first Jedi hunt with the fourth sister, also known as Lynn, who recruited her.
Lynn from accounting,
and
there's a lot of really good quotes in this episode too.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought so too.
Also, the animation looked somehow fucking stellar. Like the animation in this looks quite
There was a couple of shots with Vader that I thought were live action for like a fraction of a second.
Well, that got me thinking, right? Because the animation is absolutely stellar and out of this world. I was thinking, do you think they used Unreal for this?
Good
Maybe.
question. I mean, the progress that they have made from what they originally had versus now is crazy.
Well, the thing is, Epic Games owns Unreal, and Epic and Star Wars are doing like some stuff together. So I kind of was like, are they using Unreal to do this? Because it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it was very high quality. Very the fidelity and resolution were incredible with this for sure. So yeah, we moved to or we land on a planet where Barriss and Lynn are on the trail of a rogue Jedi, and Barriss, sees all these impoverished people just kind of clinging to life, basically, and she has this naivete, basically, of like, how can the Empire let these people suffer, and yada yada. So I noticed that, and I immediately thought, well, I guess being raised by the Jedi and then immediately jumping straight into another brainwashing pipeline with the Inquisitorius, like, that'll make you pretty naive, I guess. That'll make you like not really think too critically about a lot of things.
I mean, she's baffled though. She's like, she says these people have nothing. How can the Emperor allow this to happen? Like, she's like, what the fuck? Yeah. But the answer she's given is, they reap what they sow.
Yeah.
When the people show loyalty to the Empire, they will be allowed to flourish, but not before. And then it's almost like this Jedi way, right? Of wanting to do good still, right? She wants to do good and help these people because her answer is very Jedi. Her answer is, then let's complete our mission and allow them to prosper. Like that, like it's just a happy-go-lucky, like, concept.
It's interesting seeing like her, their dynamic is just so cool because there's still the hints of Jedi-ness mixed in there. There's just a new ideology that they're following, which is obedience to the glory of the Empire.
However, she's also trying to justify her actions in saying that, it's going to have a positive effect. It's going to have something that's going to help these people. So I'm going to do this terrible stuff for the good of the Empire, which means the good of the people. It's like she's just still trying to do this mental gymnastics to try to like actually justify it.
Yeah.
I'm still one of the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Barriss's motivation to still, like, no matter what situation she's in, even if she's not a Jedi anymore, she still does have an inclination to help people and do the right thing. And so when they begin questioning the villagers, where's the Jedi? We know there's a Jedi somewhere around here. Where are they? Everyone's tight-lipped. The guy who seemingly is in charge says, well, there's no Jedi here.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
He says, I give you my word, there is no Jedi here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes a little too hard with it.
When you see this place like decimated, right? It kind of reminded me of the Qui-Gon episode when they go to this like shitty town and Qui-Gon's like, well, we still should help these people, right? And that's like her mindset is like, we need to help these people. It kind of like reminded me of that, but except this time the master was just her quote master. Her partner's like, nah, fuck that. They deserve this.
Not our department.
Yeah, right.
Our job is to punish, not help.
Our job is to find Jedi, kill Jedi, and go get a nice lunch.
Yeah. And so, but of course, Barriss has a kind nature to her, so when she notices a scared child in the corner who seems to maybe know something, she immediately takes a knee, gets on the kid's level, and kind of...
The big thing we got to remember too is with Barriss, her entire philosophy was not, I hate the Jedi. Her entire philosophy was the Jedi are corrupt and have gotten away from their main mission, which is to serve the people. So in her mindset, she can still serve the people in this new role. Unfortunately, she didn't really read the terms and services when she clicked the sign. She kind of skimmed through it.
Right.
And it was like, no, we're not actually helping the people. We're here to kill Jedi. That thing that you're really good at because you've done it already, we're doing that. She's like, yeah, but I don't want to do that.
I mean, that's the thing too, is she's using kindness, not torture. And it's because when she talks to this kid, she gets told where the Jedi is in the mountains.
Yeah.
And
gets the child to trust her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, there are studies that show, torture doesn't work, and if you're kind, you give a donut and a cigarette, people will be more likely to help you, kind of thing.
I know
she gets the answer. She gets the answer from being friendly and nice, and not threatening.
And to Jaden's point, being convinced that getting rid of the Jedi is for the good of these people. It's actually in a roundabout way, at least, protecting them. She gets the kid to tell her the Jedi's location, and she says, "You did the right thing for everyone." Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, like, at this moment, does she actually believe that, or is that kind of a cope?
I think she did.
And I was about to say, I think at this point in time, she does. She does still believe that this is the right thing, and that this is for the best of everyone. But unfortunately, this leads to Lynn massacring the villagers because they lied to her, and just breaks out the lightsaber, just cuts everyone down. It's a bloodbath.
And the last thing this man says when she gets pissed, obviously because he lied, he says to her, "People are judged by their actions." And the only thing she says is, "Well then," and then boom.
Yep. And then she dishes out the judgment.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
Let me judge you with my sword.
With my
and the kid
lightsaber.
looks terrified the whole time.
Of course.
He's holding on to her. He's like, "Ah."
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Barriss makes sure that Lynn doesn't kill the child, at least, and so she tells the kid to run and don't look back. And I think, again, right now, Barriss is speaking straight from experience, because Barriss is used to trauma and running away from it and not looking back at it. And she's kind of passing that wisdom on.
I will say, too, you want to talk about traumatic. The scene alone was traumatic because all we see is just lightsaber moving and like stuff getting thrown over everywhere. We see the lightsaber going through the fucking wall, and we hear like this Game of Thrones style like piano music, and we just hear like people screaming. And it's like, it's to showcase to us, like, yeah, she goes all out and kills everyone there. Like, she's having fun with it, clearly.
Right. Yeah, venting frustration, venting trauma. That's classic Inquisitor tactics. Like, use the pain you felt in your life and let that fuel your butchery, basically. That we see that play out with most Inquisitors.
And this causes a problem, too, because she's clearly, by telling that kid she's not, like, don't turn around, she's clearly still there in terms of, like, her kindness of being a good person. Because she calls Lynn from accounting, she calls her out because they're climbing up the mountain, and she calls her out, and she says, as Inquisitors, we bring order, not chaos, right? Like, like that was just chaos. That was not order. You just killed everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But Lynn says rebellion creates chaos. Eliminating it brings order. And
I thought it was interesting too that she let the kid live. You notice that?
Well, the kid did the right thing, right?
Yeah.
The kid told the truth. Tell your friends, child. Why should I kill you? That's how I kind of saw it. Was you did the right thing. I wouldn't kill you. You were very open about it. These other people train that kid to be a supporter, right? Like that's kind of the thing. But like also, it felt very like I was listening to the clips from Andor. When in that line when she was talking about it, it's a disease. We are here to find the disease and destroy it. And that's kind of how I felt when she was like saying that kind of stuff. Also, I was a little confused. They're climbing up the mountain. They have propeller blades. Why didn't they use them to fly up the mountain?
I mean, I could tell you why, because the fucking of the lightsaber would have given away, like, hey, there are two fucking helicopter Inquisitors.
Right? Yeah, a little bit of an early warning.
No surprise there.
And of course, Lynn doesn't seem to realize that cracking down on people, you can rule by fear to some extent, but you will create more enemies eventually as well. I think, and I'm glad you mentioned Andor too, because that show, fucking remarkable show, also really explores the dynamics of a dictatorship and a totalitarian oppressive regime that creates its own enemies and can be defeated by human nature alone, basically, when people rebel against it. So no, really cool exchange here. Like, again, we talked about this earlier, but like these episodes of Tales of the Empire, like, they're so compact and efficient. Like they pack in such like tight, cohesive storytelling without spending too much time on it. It's really cool.
Yep.
And so they eventually climb the mountain to where they were told the Jedi is hiding, and Lynn just charges in, and Barriss rushes to keep up, and comes across Lynn and the Jedi facing off, locking blades, duel to the death. And really quick, this is so stupid, but I thought it was funny how when the kid says they are in the mountains, I immediately thought, oh, there's more than one Jedi.
I did
Okay,
too,
so
dude.
There's a group of Jedi. And so then when we get to this scene and Lynn is fighting a single Jedi, I was like, oh, well, so they is a person.
Wow, it's almost like it's just a pronoun, like, you know.
I know.
I got pronouns in Star Wars, and I was like, oh, this is great, but also like, I don't know. There's
No, Connor. No, it's too woke, man. They're using it.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I was thrown for
making fun of those people.
There's a great comedian who he English isn't his first language. He has this whole bit about like talking to someone of being like, oh, my friend's coming. It's like, I'm gonna have someone come with. Oh, when are they getting? They go, they are coming. It's like, how many people are coming? English wasn't his first language. So, but like I was like, in terms of troop movements, I don't know what you mean when you say they.
And so, yeah, of course, obviously, I know that they, them can be singular pronouns. Of course, I'm not stupid, but like, I just thought like it was, oh, it's just one. But just something I thought it was funny. But
I'm not calling you out. I thought you were doing a bit, honestly.
I just was genuinely.
No, I'm with you. I had the exact same question.
I was just genuinely thrown for a second, and then I realized what was happening. But no, of course, unfortunately, sadly, there are going to be Star Wars consumers out there who are exposed to a person.
They have problems with it beyond the simple troop movement issue that I had.
Yeah, right.
These people are going to be pissing their pants over pronouns in Star Wars, and that's unfortunate for them. But anyway, moving on.
It's a cool fight too.
It is. It really is. Lynn gets knocked back. The Jedi is kind of standing their ground, and Barriss faces off with the Jedi, and it's cool because while the physical duel is happening, the blades, locking blades, lightsaber on lightsaber, Barriss, again, we've talked about this. Her urge to do the right thing and help people is still there. It's very strong. It's her guiding principle, and she's telling this Jedi, listen, the Jedi as an order, as an organization, are gone. They paid for their hubris, but you don't have to.
Yeah, she's
still
under the impression that this is an arrest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The impression that this is a kill order.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, she seems to think that this is a come quietly and we'll go easy on you, or like you can come quietly. I was thinking there's naive, and then there's believing that this Jedi has anything to gain by surrendering, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
But nevertheless, Barriss's tactics seemed to be working. Like the Jedi, put their lightsaber down, seemed tired. Just I'm so tired of running and fighting. I don't want to do this anymore. It seemed like they were about to surrender. And then, of course, Lynn steps in, kills the Jedi in cold blood, stabs him in the back, and it seemed like this moment was like a key turning. It was a switch being flipped where Barriss kind of sees the hypocrisy and the two-facedness of like, also her delusions are being shattered. Like her delusions of the Inquisitors are a peacekeeping organization. She can no longer reconcile that. Like, she can't square that circle anymore. And that's the push she needed to remember why she was once proud to be a Jedi.
I mean, the justifications were thrown off the cliff, quite literally.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really poignant, really well executed moment. I really thought that was cool. So.
And also what was really cool too is like, she tries to justify it still and tell Lynn like, hey, what you're doing, that's not what we wanted to do, this and that. He was going to surrender. And she's just like totally gone. And she's like, no, they are a disease. I will kill them all. And it's like, oh, fuck. So when she pushes her off the cliff, like quite literally, she gets to notice that he's alive and okay, like, let me protect you. I'll take care of you.
They're alive.
But it is, then she throws her helmet, down and out of there. But I would like to also add, like, when you make all these justifications, you said like hate, hurt people, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was never truly hurt to the same extent, I think, as a lot of the other Inquisitors, not just physically.
Definitely not as much as Morgan too, which is who we were talking about earlier.
like she her type of pain and stuff. It wasn't never hatred. Like she never hated the Jedi. So I think
No.
like
disappointed in them. Really.
She was disillusioned with what they had become.
Yeah.
exactly. So I think like that's why she never truly like she would never truly succumb to the dark side, if you will.
Not all the way, not to the
Yeah.
degree that
Yeah.
other Inquisitors do.
And so
definitely
those
not to the degree
justifications are then
Anakin did.
shattered so
Mhm.
quickly. I think to have that such of a visceral reaction of like, yeet, you know?
Yeah. So she turns on Lynn. Barriss pushes Lynn off the cliff, and basically takes a moment to comfort the dying Jedi in their final moments, and kind of look them in the eye and say, "You're not alone." And it was beautiful ending to this episode.
Well, I don't think we confirmed that Jedi died, because she's like, she's like, get him out of there.
She did say, "I won't let you die."
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I guess it's not confirmed either way. If this
It's
Jedi,
possible that I don't even think we got a name for that Jedi.
this
character.
unnamed, random unnamed Jedi. Yeah. So it's possible we'll see them again. It's possible they're dead. But yeah, either way, very poignant, very dramatic end to episode 5 realization. And Barriss definitely had her realization here. So any final thoughts on this before we move on?
So there's interesting parallels between the Morgan and the Barriss. Seeing two different sides of flipping to the dark. One flips to the dark. One goes dark, but then finds redemption.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think for me, I think there was a little bit more potential to explore Barriss's darker side.
Mm.
Because if you remember the Clone Wars episode where she betrays someone, it was pretty freaking dark what she did. She brutally murdered 6 Jedi with a bomb.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that there was a little bit more darkness we could have explored with her, but that wouldn't have made her a redeemable character in the audience's eyes. Which I get that. I get why they did it story wise, but honestly, I would love to have seen more darkness.
Mm. Yeah, we basically only get that 15-ish minutes of episode 4 where she's brought to the Inquisitors, and that's really the only time we get to really explore her the depths of her darkness, and that's like when we see her embrace the situation she's now in. But we don't really get much more than that. I think you have a point there. Yeah, so that's episode 5, and before we move on to episode 6, The Way Out, the final tale of Tales of the Empire, we're going to take another quick break and hear from our sponsors, but we'll be back shortly, so we'll see you then. And we're back. We're wrapping up our discussion of Tales of the Empire with our final tale, episode 6, The Way Out. So, previously, we explored Barriss's experiences in the Inquisition, going from prisoner to recruit to Inquisitor to basically her realization that she didn't, obviously didn't fit in with the Jedi Order, also didn't fit in with the Inquisition, and decided to go her own way. So when we start episode 6, we open on a raging blizzard. A desperate couple seeking a healer for their infant. They're eventually brought to see Barriss herself. She's living in isolation, and she seems to have obviously forsaken her Inquisitor ways. Also, the years have passed. Like definitely she's aged. She seems weathered, more mature.
So that was something I really wanted to address because there's this meme that exists online that it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi lived in the desert for 19 years, goes from Ian McGregor to Allen Guinness, and he looks like, the drastic change.
Right.
And they're like,
right.
Well, oh God, what's her name? Oh my God, my Star Wars brain.
Who's the character?
Satine's sister.
Oh,
Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan, and then you look at Bo-Katan, it's like, well, she looks the same.
Yeah.
Same with Fennec Shan. They look exactly the same 40 years later, and it's
Right.
like, and the joke is skincare, ladies and gentlemen. Skincare. Skincare in the Star Wars universe is great when you want to do it.
Obi-Wan did not moisturize.
living in a hut on an ice planet. She doesn't get skincare.
Right. Obi-Wan and Barriss did not moisturize enough, but
they did not moisturize.
Bo-Katan has a rigid regimen of skincare every
which
morning.
Is very in character for both of those characters, to be honest, to give a shit about doing space skincare.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Space care.
So we find out that this couple and their baby, they fled Imperial space when their child was quote unquote examined, and there was something about the child that set off some alarms, so they fled with their baby. And Barriss kind of relates to them. She shares that her life began in a similar way long ago when she was taken by the Jedi to be raised by them. And she explains that a darkness took me, but that was long ago. So yeah, we're kind of being set up for real character growth by Barriss. Like, she's a different person now. She's been through a lot, and she basically seems to be involved in almost like a Hidden Path-esque sort of operation where Force-sensitive children are brought to her, and she helps them get to safety, keeps them away from the Empire. So she's definitely moved on to do something good, to do something impactful and helpful. So it's good, nice to see.
The character designs of the people that work with her are cool. Like,
they were really cool. Yeah,
they were cool.
Helpers.
I honestly, I know, like, Jaden and I have talked about this. Like, not every character in Star Wars has to have a backstory, but every character in Star Wars has to have a backstory. Like, I would want to see a backstory with these other two characters.
At least like like an index card worth of info about them.
Yeah, the one-page Wikipedia article.
Dope.
That's something that I have noticed that's different from going from sequel trilogy to some of the new I guess this is a new generation of Star Wars content, is that the background characters, the attention to detail on them is a lot heavier, I've noticed. Like, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Bad Batch, but there was an episode in season 3 where we got to see some clone troopers they're part of a clone trooper outclove that's like rejected the Empire, and they're walking around wearing their normal clone trooper armor, but then they had extra ammo pouches strapped to them on top of it, and that was like the story that it was telling there was like, hey, these are clone troopers who don't have a squad anymore, so they need to carry more gear on themselves. Yeah. And I'm like, that is such a fun detail to show, like, hey, I'm still going to do my job, but I got to pack more gear on to do my job effectively. And it's like, that attention to detail is so interesting.
That is how you do smart world building, when you can learn like something important about a character just by looking at them and kind of like putting them in context of their environment. And even these helpers that Barriss lives with, apparently they have like so many visual cues about them that are pretty fun. So it's cool. Unfortunately, trouble arrives. Barriss seems to sense something. She seems to sense that that danger is approaching, and she seems to know that her time has come. She knows, like, hey, this is something I've prepared for. This is contingency Omega, and so she sends her followers away. And what I appreciate about this scene, when she's kind of like sending them away with the family, like, hey, get these two and their child away from here, get them to safety. And she says, she's like making it clear she's staying behind, and she tells them, take all I've taught you and pass it on. Live.
Yeah, so the live part, what I liked the most about it was, she said they ask, what can we do to repay you? And that's when she says live. Yeah,
that's what she says.
And that is like, but I liked that those two characters that were her group, they like gave her a big hug. They knew it was going to happen. They were like, well,
Barriss found the family that she was looking for.
Absolutely.
In the Jedi Order, finally, after all those years.
Absolutely.
Man, like, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Like, it was really fucking cool, man. Like,
it was awesome.
The thing, what I like about this episode was they took the time for it. They took the time to show them saying goodbye, the hugs, the like group hug, the like family, like, questions of like, what about you? What's the plan? Oh, they realized it. And it was, I don't know. I felt like it wasn't done too long, but it also wasn't like too quick. Like, oh, all right, fine, bye. And then like, it was perfectly timed.
It took just enough time to, that it needed. Yeah, for sure. I really appreciated how this scene displayed Barriss's growth and how her naivete has been replaced by maturity and acceptance, and like she's finally at peace with what's important to her and what she's here to do, and it's really cool to see. And the danger, the unseen danger that she sensed arrives, and we find out that it's Lynn, who obviously survived the push off the cliff, and she's seemingly not a day older. Like, she doesn't seem to have aged at all compared to Barris.
She used her skincare.
She's moisturizing. She's doing the lotion. She's on top of it. So Lynn shows up, lightsaber out immediately, ready just to stand on business, just coming after Barris aggressively, and Barris passively resists, kind of dodging, doing the fluid motion, and she tells Lynn, I thought this was really cool. She says, "Your anger makes you predictable," which was a neat callback to her Inquisitor training when she was told that her mercy makes her predictable or whatever. Yeah.
I caught that too, and I was like, hey, Leo.
I appreciated that. Yeah. And the exchange is so cool. Like, the dialogue they trade here was so cool because, Lynn declares, "Fear is my ally, not yours." Like, kind of trying to like telling Barris, like, "Get out of my head, stop trying to fuck with me."
Yep. Like, you're throwing off my groove here.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of groove, I thought the fighting was cool in general.
Oh yeah,
the fighting was just like Ezra again. She wasn't using a lightsaber. But it also kind of felt a little bit more, I'll say like kung fu, like an older kung fu movie rather than a samurai movie. And I think that's really cool because, when you see the trailer for Acolyte, right, that type of style of combat is showcased in the trailer. And I think that's kind of starting to get us ready. And same, I think maybe this whole Ezra thing of like not fighting with a lightsaber and fighting just like, hand to hand kind of style with the Force and stuff. That I think is what we're getting prepped for it.
That's exciting, yeah. But coming back to the exchange really quick, "Fear is my ally, not yours." And Barris's reply to that, "You choose your allies poorly."
Ooh,
God damn, that was hard as hell.
That was great, dude. That was awesome.
Cold as hell. I loved it. And so speaking of cold, the family and Barris's helpers, they escape through a nearby ice cave. They run into the mountain basically. And Lynn chases after them. Barris doesn't even stop her because she knows that she's basically bought enough time that Lynn won't be able to catch up. And so she just kind of steps aside and lets Lynn run into the cave. And and immediately Lynn gets lost. She has no idea where the family and her targets have escaped to. And she hears Barris in her head. And it's obvious that Lynn is kind of getting concerned here at this point, like, well, if I fail in my mission, I'm screwed. Like, she's obviously afraid of the consequences of failure. And again, Barris is in her head, comes back at her again, throws her words at her again, and says, "It seems fear is not your ally, but your master."
Yeah,
dude, Barris with the quips. She's on top of it today. She's rocking it.
It's great.
I love it.
The music is also terrifying, like hella creepy after a while, and it adds to that tension and that buildup of how Lynn's getting so fucking frustrated, but also starts freaking out. And then she starts getting scared. You see it in the eyes. You see it in her facial expressions.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's so much fun to watch because we don't see it quite a lot, but it's so much fun when it does happen. It is so much fun to watch a dark side user's fear and hatred and all that stuff get completely flipped on them. Yeah. And then it's not that they're using those emotions or that like, those feelings. They're letting those feelings and emotions completely rule them.
Yep.
And they start, they can't control it. And they're like, and they start freaking out. And it's great to watch how like actually truly like almost like a little kid they really are. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that whole thing where it's like, you're really just a little kid, Mr. Bully. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to actually get to see this happen in real time, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Lynn starting to freak out and just, rage and slash at the walls with her lightsaber because she doesn't know what else to do. I mean, she's
just desperate. It's amazing.
Desperation. Yeah, it's communicated very well here. It's acted. It's well acted, well written, well animated. It's all great. And yeah, like you can say what you want about the Jedi's failures as an organization, but they weren't wrong about most of their foundational teachings when it comes to, like Kevin said, your fear consuming you, ruling you, guiding you. And Barris is right there to sort of fill the gaps where Lynn is, obviously succumbing to her fear. Barriss is there to remind her, like, the way out will become clear to you if you let go of your rage and fear. Like, you can find your way out of this situation, this cave. The cave is physical, but it's also metaphorical for being lost in her fear and anger and desperation. And
just calm down.
Yeah, just chill out, dude. You'll be fine.
Just fucking chill, bro.
Just take a
Smoke
breath.
some space weed. Relax.
What is it from Drake and Josh? Whoa, just take it easy.
Whoa, just take it easy,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's, again, poetic. It's poignant. The storytelling, the visual storytelling is beautiful here because the way this situation resolves is Barriss ends up being there physically. She's standing right behind Lynn and catches a stray. Unfortunately, the blade goes through her, and basically it costs her her life, but in so doing, Barriss...
It only cost her $19.99 one payment.
It's okay. She can walk it off. She'll be fine. She'll be totally fine
right.
from this. But no, it does seem to be fatal. The blade goes through Barriss, but in so doing, in the process, Barriss breaks through the callous shell around Lynn's heart with her compassion, with her forgiveness.
So, I'm going to say something controversial here.
Mhm.
Is it fatal?
Well, that's
it
the thing.
Seems
Yeah,
to
I
be.
mean,
Yeah, we can only
we
say
don't know.
what it seems to be.
So the reason why I say that we don't want to be so callous as to say it was fatal is because right before the scene ends, we see that little cat creature digging in the ground, and then looks at the camera, and then it cuts to black. And in Filoni speak, that usually symbolizes the character's not dead.
Interesting.
but in The Sopranos, it usually symbolizes.
And I
But
think
here's
that
the thing. Hold on.
Because
One
when
of the
Ahsoka,
things-
okay, let me explain. When Ahsoka was presumed dead in Rebels, we saw the owl
Yeah.
fly off, and the owl was used as like a signal to say, "Hey, her story is not over." And when Lynn says, the last word Lynn says is, I'm gonna get you out of
that's
here."
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
true,
picks up
true,
Barriss's
true.
Why would you
corpse.
do that with a
No,
body?
you're right.
That's true. Yeah.
But also, one thing that I saw was the breathing, right? The breath, the visualization of life. I found that to be really cool because you see her breathing, and then all of a sudden it starts getting less.
It's weaker.
We still see Lynn breathing, but then we just keep seeing less and less and less, and then all of a sudden, nothing. And that's when Lynn says, "Finally, I'm gonna get you out of here." Like I was like, ooh.
Yeah. So again, ambiguous.
The breath of life.
Yeah. But no, I will say, yeah, I think honestly compared, so yeah, in part one we discussed Morgan's episodes, episodes 1 through 3 of Tales of the Empire, and having seen Barriss's story in episodes 4, 5, and 6, I thought that this was a tale. I mean, they were both told really well, like on a technical level, on like a competency of animation and storytelling level. They were both done very, very well. But I think I came away from Barriss's episodes with a little bit more of I was in my feels a little bit more. I came away from it like, wow, that was something really special. So yeah, definitely really appreciate episode 6 as a bookend to this little mini trilogy that Barriss had. So.
I know Jaden and I have talked about people coming back from the dark side, how most stories that we see, we mostly see people fall to the dark side and then come back from the dark side. And this is part of one of those types of stories, but it is really interesting finally to see a character in the dark side have to deal. Right? Like have to actually deal with those emotions and then lose control. Like I said earlier, lose control of them, not be able to rule them, and they get ruled by them.
Yep.
And it's just, it's a different way of looking at dark side users. And it's nice to see how that compassion has brought somebody, because we don't know a lot about Lynn, right? Like we don't know if she's always been a dark side user. For our current context, she's always been a dark side user. And so it's one of those parts of a story that we finally get to see a full dark side user from beginning to end, then all of a sudden shift into the light, or at least start to shift, and what brings them the quote fall Instead of falling to the darkness, they're falling to the light, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of those times where we're finally actually getting to see this. And I know, Jaden, you and I have talked about how that's not really a thing we get to experience in Star Wars most of the time. And we finally are. So this, I loved that. I think this one felt more like a journey rather than a path, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get Elsbeth's stuff, and I loved that. It was really cool to watch the decisions and how somebody can just get consumed by it. But she's always kind of ruled those emotions, right? She let them guide her more than anything. Whereas this is this really felt like a journey, but not just for one character, but two.
Yeah. Barriss and Lynn kind of acting as counterweights, and
Yeah.
Was really interesting to see. And I think I definitely appreciate this this little trilogy, this anthology, as another glimpse into what it's like to struggle with darkness. Because obviously we're all familiar with Anakin's redemption arc, and to see it from this perspective of Barriss Offee and Lynn, of course. Yeah, it was cool. Like really worthwhile story, and also circling back to what we talked about in our last episode on this. Not just choosing the right stories to tell, but telling them the right way. I think we saw that done pretty well here with Tales of the Empire. Like, hey, Barriss maybe doesn't get her own season of a show or her own spin-off series or her own movie, but she does get these 3 like self-contained, well-paced, cohesive, tight, efficient stories to explore. So, yeah, really cool stuff.
I had texted Kevin this before we started recording. I loved these episodes. I thought they were great. My one issue was I wish they had not been named Tales of the Empire. I wish they had been titled something like Tales of the Dark Side or Tales of the Force.
Interesting.
Because when I hear Tales of the Empire, I wanted to see like Thrawn's origins or like, an Imperial soldier growing up to be a TIE fighter pilot and becoming disillusioned with that. I was hoping for more connected with the rigid structure of the Empire itself, maybe give a chance to tell stories from the Imperial perspective, because we've always seen the Rebel perspective, and it's really been a world that we've never really super seriously explored. In fact, there was Star Wars Legends had a great comic book series that followed an Imperial lieutenant and his struggle to remain loyal to the Empire while also, being loyal to his men, being loyal to the ideals that he believes in. It was just very interesting. And of course, because everyone has to be related to somebody, he was also a friend of Luke Skywalker's on Tatooine. So like there came the conflict there with him like having to arrest his friend. And I kind of wish maybe that's where we had gone with Empire, but like the stories we got, I love. The stories I got, we love.
Maybe a little bit of a misleading name, possibly.
Yeah,
just slightly.
I have a counter argument to that though, because when we look at Tales of the Jedi, I mean, I see the fall of a Jedi. I don't see a tale of a Jedi. I see the tale of a Sith being created, right? In one of them with Dooku. And what I see here is how the tales of the Empire affected, right? Like how the Empire's fear and that pathway then told a story and affected other people, because like that's how the thing that's what the Empire does, right? The Empire creates fear, but also hope to destroy the Empire. So it's like the path of the Empire's influence. And so these tales are tales of how the Empire has affected others, because that's really what it is, right? The other one was how Tales of the Jedi, like we have a tale of a Jedi and then we have a tale of the fall of a Jedi, whereas this is it's just the influence rather than we're going to talk about the Empire, we're going to talk about the Jedi. The influence, so that's why of these people.
I understand that, but that's why I say I think it would have been better to call it like Tales of the Dark Side or Tales of the Force. Because the Empire was barely involved in these episodes. Like they were
Were they?
They were on the fringes. It was an important side effect of the Empire, basically.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. That's the whole thing. Is like,
but with Tales of the Jedi, Jedi was heavily involved.
I'll go ahead and rule on this. You're both right. in different ways. Because I take Jaden's point, because like when you hear Tales of the Empire, like I do think of like, oh,
Yeah.
are we gonna explore like a disillusioned TIE fighter pilot or something like that? But like to Kevin's point, the Empire is all encompassing. It has tentacles that influence and change the landscape of the galaxy. So you're both right. Like I do think, like, looking at Morgan's story and Barriss' story, they're both affected by the Empire, just in subtle ways. But yeah, no,
But without the Empire, we wouldn't have these stories, right?
Exactly,
Without the Empire, we wouldn't have as powerful Morgan Elsbeth. Without the Empire, we wouldn't have this whole journey that she has to go through to with the Inquisitors and all this other shit, and then bringing an Inquisitor back, possibly. That's like, it's the tale of the Empire, from the Empire, right? Does that make sense? From the Empire's influence?
No, I
Sure.
get that. I mean, you said Path of the Empire. I'm like, they should have just called it Path of the Empire,
No.
honestly. But like with the theming,
that'd be cool.
I mean, like for me, honestly, I think Andor would better be named Tales of the Empire for me, in my
Jeez,
opinion.
yeah.
Ooh, okay.
If Andor was
Because,
an
like,
anthology series, but it
Yeah, because the whole Prison Break is
Yeah.
Tales of the Empire.
Pretty much.
This is a tale of something happening in the Empire.
that's a good example of a tale of the Empire for sure. Yeah. But anyway, well, no, I think we all really enjoyed this series. Again, super grateful to have had the opportunity to watch it early. We hope you all enjoy these stories as well, and tell us what you thought. You've heard us yap about them for long enough. Tell us what you thought. Email us, get in the socials, get at us, and let us hear it.
We have a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks to months. We have we're going to start, now that we've tackled some of the bigger series that have been coming out, we're hoping to jump into some more original programming from us, talk about the like specific topics versus overall arcing shows. We're really excited to getting back to what we used to do and dive in, and we can't wait to bring you guys along for the journey.
Absolutely.
And if you are listening to this within the month of May 4th, don't forget, Star Wars is in theaters if you want to watch episode 1, and there's other ones being played around.
those
in the
re-releases are
country.
happening, yeah. That's
Yep.
right.
I myself will be going to see Phantom Menace. If you want, it's happening in other parts of the country as well throughout the whole month. But also, there's a couple other things that are happening in the next year, Jaden.
Yes. We literally, as right before we sat down to record this, we have figured out that Lore Party and the Lost Cantina will be going to Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo, Japan in 2025. We are super excited to be able to
Believe it.
bring that to all of you.
Yeah.
And I just realized I made that announcement not looking at the camera. Is that okay? Do you
That's
think
I
fine.
don't give a shit.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, we are really looking forward to getting to go. A couple of us have been to Japan before. Connor has never been to
It'll
Japan.
be my first time. Yeah.
And we're going to be super excited to maybe get some cool interviews, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe do some get some cool behind the scenes stuff to bring you. So yeah,
It'll be sick. Yeah, can't wait.
It'll be really, really cool. So if you see us there, shout us out and come say hi.
Absolutely. Don't be strangers.
And with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please take a second to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I did see that somebody uses Firefox. Not bad. It really helps us grow the show, guys. And be sure to connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and all the other socials at The Lost Cantina. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.